thank you for coming. My name is Leanne Hansen. I work for PCRS. I am the manager of addictions, and I'm also the manager of this project. Yay! Yay! So I thought I was going to start with if you turn to somebody next to you and say, thank you for coming. Because it actually wouldn't be anything if you didn't come. We would be here by ourselves, right? And so I am excited to have you all here today for more than one reason. I was reading about the Circle of Courage, and for some of you who probably know a lot more about that, I think our Aboriginal friend would know a lot more about that. But the most important part that you start with is a sense of belonging. And that's what we've done here. We've created a sense of belonging. Not just the residents, but staff. And not just the staff, Chilliwack, City Hall. All of you in the media now feel like you have some ownership in this project. So what started in 2000 with wonderful people like Kathy Funk, I'm trying to think of all the founders. Now let me just remember them all, right? It was Kathy Funk, there was Dr. Jones, there was Stan Kaparis, there was Kevin Brouchard, Wayne Massey, Tom Hetherington, Tom McMahon, Mel Folkman, and Mayor Hames. And if I've forgotten anybody, please just tell me now and don't get mad with me afterwards. So these were the folks that saw the dream. 2000's a long time ago. It's 13 years ago. 13 years ago, people had a desire to change their community. And Chilliwack did it. Yay, Madam Mayor, for Chilliwack. And the dream was originally, and I remember Tom Hetherington when I applied for my job. By the way, he didn't even tell me where Chilliwack was. Sorry, I was coming from the States, right? You drive across the border, and he said, just go to Chilliwack, the office is on Victoria. Eventually, I found my way to Victoria, and he said, we have a dream here, and the dream is to start a health center. That was the original, Tom, right? The health center, right? And then, with the progress, we found we needed housing, because health could not be managed on its own without housing. And so, with the support of the city, and people like Diane Jansen, I don't know if she's here today, and Pat Clark, and oh gosh, I got a Stuart, thank you, just keep me on track, that's the best thing. Stuart, and actually every one of you, we actually got to this today. And this is amazing, because we have residents, we have people who live here, and we have some residents in our front row. Thank you for coming today. They didn't have to go far, right? So the sense of belonging already exists. We've had Thanksgiving dinner. We've had time together. They know a little bit about me, and I know a lot about them. But what is good is they're feeling like family. They're behaving like family. They're caring for each other. I think you made beans or chili. She made chili for the other residents. I think that's amazing. My neighbors don't make chili for me. I don't know about yours. I haven't got a neighbor on my street who make chili for me. And they do. They actually show they care. And so I am happy to tell you, we went from this embryo of a health center to a residential and health center, and the people that kept it alive were the City of Chilliwack, Fraser Health, the Real Estate Foundation, and PCRS, and then all the collaboratives. That's what kept it alive. And so we stand here today on the shoulders of all of them. Every single one of them, we stand on their shoulders. So I'd like to say to all of you who started, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I see my friend Karen Stanton back there, who always doesn't sit in the front row. But without her, I can tell you, there were days we would not have done anything. Thank you, Karen, for driving the bus. And then people like John Les, I don't know if he's here today, who was our MLA. These people put loads and loads of time into this project. And so we have a new MLA, Mr. John Martin, and he came to the center, did a pre-run, did a first run, and said, I want to come and see. He made the initiative. He said, I want to come and see what's happening here. And so thank you for doing that. I so appreciate it. But then I tried to find, as usual, personal things about these guys. Internet never tells you anything, I'm sorry to tell you. But I did find a couple of things out about Mr. Martin here. First of all, I found out he's a criminologist. So anybody need a criminologist? He will be available afterwards. He has 2 sheepdogs, and their names are Blue and the Dude. I now got the name The Dude. I thought that was very interesting. Did you pick sheepdogs because they know how to keep people in the right place at the...
They heard everybody, get them out the door right on time.
Oh, I thought so. You thought you should have brought your dogs today. He's also a martial artist. He's also a musician. And I think this is even the best part, John. He's a weekend warrior on the barbecue competition circuit. So we're going to ask him to come and do a barbecue here one weekend for us. Don't you think that's a good idea? Thank you, John. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Martin to you.
Well, thank you and good afternoon. You know, there's just something absolutely satisfying and gratifying about driving around on October the 16th with your air conditioner on. Hey, that's just one of the fringe benefits of living in the single best place in the country right here in Chilliwack. So, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today to celebrate the official opening of the Chilliwack Health and Housing Center. And I would like to acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Stolo Nation. Premier Christy Clark sends her best wishes, as does Rich Coleman, the minister responsible for housing, on this very special and unique occasion that so many people have spent so long making a dream come a reality. So the Chilliwack Health and Housing Center provides 22 supportive housing apartments, and this is named the Annis Residences for the members of our community who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. Along with the housing component, the development will offer a wide range of community support services through the health center, all in one centralized location right beside us. So the BC government, I can say, is proud to support this project, providing over $3.5 million toward capital costs and approximately $230,000 in annual operating funding for Annis Residences. Renovations of this former hotel included upgrades to the building and the addition of kitchens to each suite and to create self-contained studio units. As just mentioned, I had the luxury of touring the facility about 5 weeks ago, and it is absolutely spectacular inside. So, of course, today's celebration is about more than bricks and mortar. It's about making sure everyone has a safe, supportive place that they can call home. As this is Homelessness Action Week, we look back and reminded of the successes and challenges of the past year and the work undertaken to break the cycle of homelessness. We're also reminded that there is hope that one day we will not need a week to honor this occasion or to remind us of how far we've come or that we still have more to do. Chilliwack Health and Housing Center is an excellent example of what this week is all about and what can be accomplished when we work together to see places of hope become reality. This development will give residents access to services, tools, and resources that will help them create a brighter future. And of course, we can't do it alone. Partnerships are the backbone of a strong housing strategy, and I'd like to acknowledge the partners on this project, the City of Chilliwack, Fraser Health, the Real Estate Foundation of BC, and of course, Pacific Community Resources Society, who have put their heart and soul into this project for so long. They will manage the center, including the residences, and will work together with Fraser Health to operate the health center component. And this takes a lot of dedication, this takes a lot of heart, and that's something that I know this society has no shortage of whatsoever. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the City of Chilliwack, who has supported this project right from the very beginning. And of course, I wish to acknowledge Ruth Annis, who will be honored a little later on in the celebration today. It's people like Ruth who have given of themselves to help others, who inspire us to be the very best we can. Finally, I'd like to thank our community for coming alongside this development and in the process supporting our friends in need. Just commenting with some people while we're waiting to get started. And this isn't happening in any other community. Chilliwack is writing the template. We're drawing up the blueprint for a unique approach to housing, and right now we are the envy of everybody else. We're doing something that could not happen in any other community. So I look forward to seeing the positive contribution of Chilliwack Health and Housing Center that will make to our community in the very near future. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It is just such a wonderful day in Chilliwack to be part of this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. We appreciate your words. And I just changed the program. Sorry, I'm creative. I'm flexible, I'm global. We are going to have the blessing now from Lawrence, and he should have been before Mr. Martin. So you all now know my problem. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. So Lawrence, if you would be so good to come and give us. And he just gave me his Aboriginal name. Now, I tell you, I practice coming downstairs, but I don't know that I'm going to get it right. So, Lawrence, I'm happy to be corrected. Chiyaleg? Yeah. And Madam Mayor said it was what, Mighty Warrior? And I thought, boy, what a great name, Mighty Warrior. So please, would you come and give your blessing?
Chatlick is my traditional name. I'm from Chatham First Nations. I'm a counselor, and happy to be here today. It's an honor to have been asked to come out here. And I guess I'll start with a traditional prayer for you then. O Chicha Siam, please to skapsit, e kum tra talita sas qualawal, kolam ko eat to til tilawale, e kus haklit to see with to see alachwa, chi thomasit, lam kumakstam, e kus to as muktals kaka. Creator, we're grateful everything that you have given us. We respect and honor you. We thank you for everything. Amen. Yeah, I was glad to come here, and I was happy to hear that the Chilliwack Health and Housing Contact Center was opening, and I was I worked at Stall Nation Health for about 14 years in the addictions prevention counselor, and we always, like, every once in a while I'd have people that were homeless and we didn't know what to do with them also. And so it's good to know that you have a spot here for people and to be able to help them. And our people, like, traditionally, like one of our elders, he would open up his longhouse, and if there was someone that didn't have a place, they would go and spend time at with our elder at the longhouse until they could find their way and get themselves back on track in life again. So it's an honor to be here again, and I'm grateful that for the wonderful facility, and I look forward to coming here in the future and visiting and with people that have mental health issues and addictions issues. And I just have to let you know I have to slip out early because I have to go to another meeting for an education meeting down Stall Nation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry I put you second. I hope that gives us a second blessing or something, right? At least some blessing. Thank you. Our next speaker is, let me have a look, it's Madam Mayor. And I had to really dig deep to find out about Madam Mayor. So I found out she is a Twitter person. she does tweets. And on one day, she did 13 tweets. I won't tell you what she said about a date on one, but anyway. It was very interesting reading her tweets. The one thing that is quite historical is that she actually broke the ceiling. For 100 years, there was no female mayor in Chilliwack, and you were the first female mayor. So congratulations. She was 12 years as city councillor and 3 years as school trustee. So you have done an amazing long-term work with the city. That is really amazing. And she has been someone whose door's always been open. She has the city at heart. She has PCRS. She knows how to find my personal email when somebody's lost or needs a room. She is the person who cares. She's the person who represents this community. And so I am very happy to introduce you to our tweeting mayor, Mayor Gates.
Thank you so much, Leanne. And as long as you don't call me your twerking mayor, I'm fine with that. Well, good afternoon, everybody. What an honor to be here. You know, looking around, it just, I don't know if anybody else has that feeling that you just feel full. My heart is full. I look out and I see people who've been part of the planning of this for a very long time. And first of all, I want to acknowledge city councilors who are here with me today. Sue Attrell, who's sitting in the front. Sue, yeah. And Stuart McLean, who is the other end of the bookcase, yeah. And in the back, I see Ken Popoff, he's back there. And I did see two former city councilors. I saw Pat Clark, who's here. Pat, where are you standing now? Yeah, okay. And I also saw Mel Folkman with Carolyn here too. Mel, yeah. You know, I know that people have given thanks and they've acknowledged everybody that is here, but this is really what this occasion is all about, is giving thanks. And I want to say a huge thank you to everyone because, you know, I remember when this was just kind of a glint in somebody's eye, and I think it was mostly Diane Jansen, and who is not here today. But I remember she gathered together 21 agencies in the city of Chilliwack, and then she bossed everybody around. And it was really cool to watch her in action and for her to get consensus from people that this was something that was truly needed. If we were going to be a healthy community, we were going to talk about what it meant to be a healthy community, but we weren't just going to talk about it. We're going to roll up our sleeves and get to work and do something about it. And what we learned along the way, I think it's been incredible. Kate Lister, thank you. You've taught me a lot about housing and about homelessness and about the value of a roof over your head. Wayne Green, the same thing. Thank you very much for teaching me. I think my biggest lesson came when I went over to the Olympic Village, to the village down on School Street. And one of the residents said to me, first of all, he said, Madam Mayor, I'd like you to come on up into my suite, but you're going to have to take your shoes off. I'm in the penthouse. And when I asked him what that meant to him, he said, it means I have a place to go to the bathroom, number one. Probably number two, too. He told me that it was a place that he could have a shower. He told me it's a place he could do his laundry. And they are things that all of you standing here take for granted every single day. But he was just filled with gratitude because now he had a roof over his head. And that's where it starts. It starts with a roof over your head, being able to know where home is, being able to know there's a community that cares about you, that wants to see you successful, to know that you have neighbors that may be struggling just like you, but there's someone to give you a hand up when you need it and good advice and a shoulder to cry on if you need it, right? That is really what makes this center so fabulous. You know, when those 21 people or agencies all met together, one of the things they said was that we needed one stop. We needed a place where people who might not be able to read, may not know how to have a computer or know how to access it, people who needed help but didn't know how to get it, they would know how to get here. And they would know that that was what it was for. So a huge thank you to everyone who has made this a reality. RCMP, thank you. Thank you for making sure that you have the resources, and I know you went to bat for this, that you'd have the resources to be able to help us when we need help here, and that you would know that the best place for someone who is homeless is not at the emergency ward of the hospital. It's right here, where people can help them and people can give you the kind of advice and support and help that you truly, truly need. Thank you to Fraser Health. Man, I remember sitting around those tables with Fraser Health, and Fraser Health is counting every nickel and dime. And they put those right here in the city of Chilliwack. I think that is absolutely fabulous. Thank you, you guys. And I wanted to also say a huge, well, there's so many people to thank, and I have a whole list here, and lots of you have been thanked. But I know that another great partner here, of course, is PCRS. If Leanne hadn't had the vision to pull this off, we would not be sitting here today, because it wasn't an easy task. From the very moment when Diane Jansen pulled in Rich Coleman, and thank you, Rich Coleman, wherever you are out there in the great area where MLAs hang out, where the important ones don't. Thank you, Rich Coleman, because honestly, Rich Coleman came walking into one of our committee rooms, and I remember him coming in and negotiating with us about this. And I remember coming in kind of like, you know, okay, Rich Coleman, this is really great, you know, and the city's ready to forgive DCCs and put a little money towards it. Darn right you are. You know, this is not going to happen without a significant contribution from the city. Okay, Dad. So, you know, and it was cool because we all started working together. The money came in. I want to make sure that I also thank, there's a few other people that I got to make sure I thank. I want to thank my staff, because without you guys too, Karen Stanton, without you, this wouldn't have happened either. You're just absolutely instrumental in pulling this off. And Peter, I know you hate it when people mention your name in public, but Peter Monteith, thank you very much for your leadership and for making sure that we found ways to find the money to be able to pull this off. David Blaine is back there, and David Blaine looking after all the engineering and the kind of things that needed to happen. Community policing, Clint Hames, former mayor, great idea. Clint always taught us that it was more important to have a roof over someone's head than to pour piles of money into services. Kathy Funk, Stan Couperis, Tom Hetherington, Mary Ives, Ralph Jones, Wayne Massey, Rowena Rizzotti, and there's so many countless others. And I know that whenever we have a list like this, we forget someone. But all of the faces here today are faces that truly matter. You all are here because you care about what's happening in our community, you care about helping the marginalized, or you live here. And it's fantastic to see you guys. And all the best in your new endeavors. Thank you to everyone who's worked so hard. Sherry, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the best to the residents that will call this home. May your home be blessed with kindness, with good health, and with prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We so appreciate you. I was looking around the room and I thought, there's a couple of people here that I just cannot but say thank you to. I want to say a special thank you to Darren Froese. I think I drove him a little nuts. Right, Darren? I think when he saw my number come up, he'd go, oh dear. She wants more money, I know it. But without people like Darren Froese and all the team at BC Housing, we would not have a building. And without a building, we couldn't put a roof over anybody's head. And without Fraser Health and healthcare, we couldn't have a one-stop shop. So we had to marry two giants on one property. And then the city. And then people like Wayne Green, who gave us starter money to do some research at United Way. All of these came together, large and small. And then to add to it all, the ladies of Chilliwack, the quilters of Chilliwack, made homemade quilts for every resident. Every single resident that comes in this building will get their own homemade quilt. Thank you, ladies, very, very much. Nobody gave me a quilt when I moved in my house. I don't know about you guys. So the person that I've sat on the most committees with, I think, in the last 5 years is Stan Kaperis. I couldn't find a thing about Stan to talk about. He really is a man of secrecy. But he's an amazing man to work with. I don't think there's ever been a day, Stan, where I can say you haven't tried to find a solution. I would call him the solution seeker, Stan. When he's quiet way, when I would get emotionally passionate, and he would just calmly keep us on track. And so before I begin and move on to my thoughts about Stan, I'm going to ask you to welcome the Director of Fraser Health, Mental Health, and you've got all new names, hey Sherry, Mental Health Substance Use Services. Did I get it right?
Well, I'm Stan and I'm not Sherry.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah. Oh, go on. By the way, without Sherry Mumford, I tell you, we would also be in a tough place. So Stan, I think your offices are still here in Chilliwack, Stan? Chilliwack and Abbotsford. And so, and this is his home. So I would like you to welcome Stan Kaperis from Fraser Health.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to join you in this celebration and bring greetings and best wishes on behalf of Fraser Health. Today really marks an important milestone for our health authority here as we celebrate another opportunity to support a very vulnerable population. Those who struggle with both mental health and substance use issues and who might be homeless or who could be at risk for homelessness. And how fitting, as was mentioned earlier, that we're celebrating this on Homelessness Action Week. Fraser Health is very grateful and proud to be among the many partners who have made this wonderful facility possible, and we've heard about many of those partners already. One of the single largest challenges that we face with our modern society today is homelessness. And we know the cost to both individuals and to society in general is very high. It's an area which definitely needs and is deserving of our collective attention as we have done so here in Chilliwack. We know how important it is for us to break down barriers to health and to housing services so those individuals who are most vulnerable individuals and citizens will be encouraged to reach out and ask for help. These men and women who are struggling with many issues, mental health, substance use, physical ailments, homelessness, are most often not attached to a family physician and for the most part do not readily access healthcare services, especially those offered in more traditional settings. But they are suffering, and without care and support, their conditions may continue to worsen. The reality is that it's not always easy to engage with these men and women. They're often marginalized and hard to reach. Trust needs to be built, and we need to continue to take slow and thoughtful steps in bringing these clients to our doors. There's not going to be an overnight fix. Realize it's going to take time and continued outreach and efforts from care providers such as our addictions outreach worker, Tom McMahon, and our RCMP mental health liaison, Denise Armstrong, to make this happen. Having a broad range of primary health care services and safe, affordable, supported housing co-located is a critical step towards addressing the needs of this population. By having the care and supports available in community settings where these individuals feel safe and comfortable, we open doors wider for them to enter service. The Health and Housing Contact Center provides an opportunity to support fundamental needs for good health and as a result to give these men and women a much better chance at recovery and maintaining good health. This resource is something that Chilliwack has needed for a long, long time. In particular, the 22 units of supported housing will fill a critical gap in our local mental health housing continuum. Our commitment to the center includes supports for both health-related services and the housing component. As well as the $25,000 per year for a 3-year period to support the lease costs at the center, Fraser Health's primary care program will provide a nurse practitioner and physician support at the center here. Service and supports from our mental health and substance use program include $33,000 for rental supplements for the housing component, an ongoing $476,000 annual contract with Pacific Community Resources Society to provide outpatient addiction support at this location, on-site support when needed from the Riverstone outreach worker, thanks to Sherry, regular support at the center from a mental health case manager 2.5 days a week, and through a monthly psychiatrist who's available for consultation. Available for outreach crisis assessment and intervention at the center through the Fraser Health Mental Health RCMP liaison. As well, those residents with enduring mental illness who reside at the supported housing units or with an addiction issue will be eligible for the full range of mental health and substance use supports available through the Mental Health Center or our addiction service contracted providers. I can't stress enough how important opportunities such as this are to us in Fraser Health, and our commitment to support these individuals and help them break the cycle of homelessness. These integrated, client-centered services will only make a real difference to the health and well-being of these individuals, but will support them in regaining their independence and their dignity. That is truly success at its finest. The Contact Center is a strong testament to the power of partnerships. On behalf of Fraser Health Board of Directors, executive team, mental health and substance use leaders and team, and our present and future clients who will be supported here, I would like to offer our sincere thanks to all who helped us make this center possible. Thank you to the federal and provincial government, BC Housing, of course the City of Chilliwack, the Real Estate Foundation of BC, and of course Pacific Community Resources Society. In closing, I'd like to leave you with these borrowed words. It's said that the measure of a society is the value given to its citizens who are most vulnerable. So how are we measuring up Chilliwack? I think the Chilliwack Health and Housing Contact Center is evidence here in this community that we are. Thank you.
Do you see what I mean by nice and calm? Should be a should be a therapist, Stan. You know, I think if I think of one word today that I could give you about the center, it's called dignity. We are offering every single person who moves in here, who comes for treatment, who comes for care, dignity. And when I hear their stories, I go home and say, thank you for the opportunity to care for every person that comes in our front door and offer them the opportunity to belong, the opportunity to master some things in their lives, and the opportunity to give back. Generosity. And I've already seen that, where people have been cleaning the gardens and helping and doing things. And we haven't been open a long time. So that ownership, that belonging, that mastery, that generosity is already showing in the small community we have. And I would like to just honor people that work at PCRS. I'd like to honor our executive director, Ingrid Castens. If she didn't believe in what we did, I wouldn't be here today, and you would have been looking for somebody else to do this. And Laurie Birdsell, who's put up with more days of my emails than he needs, right? Yeah. Drive him crazy, I can tell you that. I can tell by his response. But it's people like him and Gordon Crozier, our finance director, and every single person that works for PCRS. We have all put time into this. It's not just me. They've put time into this. I'm just happen to be the face. or the local person that was out here. So I want to honor them and say thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, PCRS, for believing in this project and offering people dignity. Thank you. And so now I would like to introduce you to Kelly Lorraine. Did I get it right, Kelly? Wow, I'm doing better as I go along. Kelly is the chair of the Real Estate Foundation. And I did find something interesting about her, that she actually values better quality of life. You were on some large move about the quality of life of people, and I thought, how amazing that people that look at real estate actually know that the quality of life is impacted by how you live, where you live, and how we do it. And so thank you, Kelly, and we are really honored to have you today. So we'd like to introduce you.
Well, I'm very honored and frankly quite humbled as an organization that doesn't have to sit in committee for all these things for 13 years, but gets to sit with these people who spent all that time stewing over, and we just get to write the check and have our logo on there. It's a pretty amazing privilege for me to be here with this group of people. I would never want to waste an opportunity with a captive audience by not sharing a little bit first about what the Real Estate Foundation is, because a lot of people just don't know what it is that we do. We are the only foundation in British Columbia that is dedicated to real estate practices and land use in the province. So we have a really unique opportunity for different funding things than a lot of other foundations are much more broad than we are. Since 1988, when we started our granting program, we have granted over $64 million to communities all across British Columbia. And what we do is we provide grants to nonprofit organizations that are working to improve BC communities through responsible and informed land use, conservation, and real estate practices, which contribute to resilient, healthy communities and natural environments. And our mission is really to transform land use attitudes and practices through innovation, stewardship, and learning. And all those things are very evident here in this project. Also want to share something that really a lot of people don't know is about where our funds come from. We don't have a donor base like a lot of foundations. We have a really unique funding model. We receive revenue from the purchasers of real estate in British Columbia. When a purchaser provides a deposit on a transaction of real estate, that money goes into a pooled trust account with a real estate brokerage in whatever office they're with. And the financial institution that holds that fund forwards that interest to the foundation. So prior to the creation of the Real Estate Foundation in 1985, no interest was generated on these trust accounts, and the financial institutions were the sole beneficiaries of those deposit funds. So it's an extremely unique model. There were a lot of people probably sat in committee for quite a number of years to get there, so I guess that's where we did our legwork. So as you can see, real estate purchasers and the real estate licensees who facilitate those transactions play key roles in the good work that the Real Estate Foundation gets to fund. So, sorry, there's always going to be page flipping. So the next thing, of course, I'd like to do is to congratulate the Pacific Community Resources and all the project partners. There was such a strong need evident for this project in Chilliwack, and it's amazing to see such broad-based community support. And it's particularly meaningful for me because I am the chair of the foundation of all of British Columbia, but Chilliwack is my home. And it's where I've had the privilege of actually selling real estate for the last 25 years, which just happens to be the number of years there's been granting. So it's quite a fun thing for me to do. In 2010, when this grant was approved to help with the housing component of the project, our board was really impressed by the genuine buy-in to meeting local needs for housing and support services. And we look at a lot of things when we approve funding, and one of the things that really increased our confidence into providing funding and know that this overall project would be a success was the City of Chilliwack's substantial financial commitment. So I thank the city. That is, I will tell you from the grants that we see, quite rare to see a city all in. So thank you. And this is where the humbling part comes from. The Real Estate Foundation's relatively small grant, it was only $50,000, we came in when there was already a really strong network of support. But in the 25 years that we have been making grants, we have learned that the most effective projects are the ones with strong partnerships. And this project is an excellent example of organizations from different sectors working towards a common goal and a shared solution. The Real Estate Foundation of BC is so pleased to be here to celebrate this great accomplishment with you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kelly, very much. I see we've got so many different people here that I just feel I'd be all day saying thank you to all of them. So thank you again for those whose names we forget and who we, in the middle of the day, forget about who you are. But somebody I want to thank are the builders. The builders, Miro, and our consultants, Terra Housing. These people like Walter Schroeder and Sheila McLaughlin from Terra Housing are the people that you don't see up front here. But they're the people that make the wheels turn. They were the people that helped us when we couldn't steer through some difficult places. And so I want to thank you. Thank you, Walter. Thank you on behalf of Miro, and thank you, Sheila, on Terra Housing. They did an amazing job. We're very grateful for that. And now I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Bill McMichael. Dr. Bill McMichael is our Vice President of PCRS. He is a very colorful character. I am very careful with my emails to him because I think he's an English specialist, so all that LOL I leave out and all those other things to him. I write it all out and check my email twice because I think, oh gosh, I'm passing my grades again. But I do know one thing about Bill, and I might have told you this, that he has a Spitfire, right? Triumph Spitfire, probably before some of your time. But this is really a cool British sports car. I think it only seats 2 people, Bill, right? And it was orange. I think it still is orange, right? And I think it's called Julius after Orange Julius. And I don't know when Bill's going to be out with it, but it would really be cool if you came and took a few of us for a spin out here, Bill. So I'd like to introduce our Vice President of PCRS, Dr. Bill McMichael.
Thanks, Leanne. Is that American spelling?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with everything that's been said so far and won't repeat it, which leaves me not a lot to say, but I'll try to slip something in between all of it. Now, first of all, I bring you greetings from the Board of Directors of Pacific Community Resource Services on behalf of Laura Jameson, our chair, who sends her warmest regards but can't be here today. I was very privileged to speak at the launch of the renovation itself. And when you also told us about that Triumph Spitfire, Orange Julius, and I'd like to point out the person I bought it from, Wendy Brett, and her team of quilters. So it all comes in a circle, doesn't it, right? That was a great day. It was a much colder and wetter and an inauspicious day compared to this one. Since that time, the board and I have been closely tracking the progress of a project that we see whose time has come. We're thrilled at the outcome and full of high expectation for its success. Here's why. What the Health and Housing Center emphasizes is we humans are not hollowed out men and women. We are full of personal aspirations, obligations, and often recriminations. We are complex individuals whose lifetimes are filled with needs of many types in their acute, chronic, and of course chronic and acute mixed manifestations. For us, health service and supportive housing is not just a numbers game, though. In the face of actuarial science, pharmaceutical prescription, statistical manipulation, we offer a human face. While needs for healthcare and housing are pretty much universal, the assessment and ultimately the resolution of those needs requires policies and procedures that are not only evidence-based, but individually relevant, meaningful to our personal circumstances. So what we provide at the center is what our technocracy cannot, the human touch. We are a safe place at the border between hope and despair. Those who arrive at the border have traveled far, but they have survived. They do not want our pity. They want no more than the normal life that most of us share. And we help them get to that point. We are, in a sense, a human resettlement agency. Our fondest desire is to see the success of what happens here replicated on the road beyond hope. That is to say, to Princeton, in Penticton, Kelowna, Kamloops, and Quesnel, and in other jurisdictions, dozens of them throughout the province. These are our aspirations for the Health and the Housing Center, and we thank you all for being here with us today to share them with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McMichael. It's now an honor for me to introduce to you the founder of PCRS. She had already left PCRS when I joined 5 years ago, but I still hear stories about her, good stories, from people who work with me, and in a way, I'm sad I didn't have the opportunity to work with you, Ruth. But I guess now I have a little bit closer relationship. So I don't know a lot about her other than she was the founder. And I think you started our agency 30 years ago?
26.
How many?
26.
26. 30. Coming up to 30 years ago. Wow. That's a long time to be in social services, I think. And I know that people like Laurie Birdsell and Ingrid and I think Gordon were part of the founding team. So we've got a reputation of staying power, tenacity, right? Staying till the end. And I think Ruth is the example of that. She is the example of us completing what we say we're going to do. And we have completed what we're going to do. And now we begin the new journey with the residents. So it's a day for founders and it's a day for residents. And so as our founder of PCRS, I would like you to give her a warm welcome.
Well, thank you very much, and I am extremely pleased to be here today. It is an absolutely great honor, and one that I certainly didn't anticipate. As you've heard from everyone, the stories of this project, and that this is the result of a very long collaboration between many partners. A project like this, as we've also seen, really takes on a life of its own. It's got a whole history. At one time I heard it as 8 years back, but now it's sounding like it was 12 and 13 years. And I want to acknowledge all the people who are here who've been a party to really making this happen. It's very clear that this kind of a project is a success because it is not the work of one person, it is not the work of one agency or one organization, and it is the realization of a collective dream, a collective vision. I think it is a self-evident truth, but everybody needs a home, and everybody needs to belong and be a member of a caring community. And clearly, Chilliwack is a caring community. My hope for the residents is that the neighbors will continue to support this project as a neighbor, and that it in turn will be a good neighbor and will be a community asset. And my wish for the project is that it will be a real home for many people for many years to come. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Ruth, very much. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing you to our first resident, the first person that moved into this project. And I have to tell you, I said to you about generosity, the ability to give back to community. This resident by the name of Terry was the man I would see in the garden some days. He was the man who would help when I had a load of things that needed to be brought inside. He was always willing to go beyond anything that we would ever hope. And so I would like you to give a warm welcome to Terry Sharp, our first resident.
Good afternoon, and thanks for being here to help us celebrate the grand opening of this facility. I've been asked to say a few words on behalf of the residents here, but I can only speak for myself. My name is Terry, and I consider myself to be very blessed to live here. This is my story. 4 months ago, I opened the paper and read about the soon-to-open Chilliwack Health and Housing Contact Center. I knew this was the missing piece of the puzzle to get my life back on track. Stable housing. 3 hours later, I was standing in the lobby asking for an application. Over the next 3 months as a volunteer, I got to meet the people behind the scenes that brought this dream to fruition. Many partners came together to make this opening possible. In particular, I would like to thank Leanne Hansen and Sam Mohan, two ladies I have gotten to know and love. Thank you, Fraser Health, the City of Chilliwack, BC Housing, PCRS, and the Advisory Board. If I left anyone out, my apologies. How I got here. Addiction destroyed my life. I had gone from living in my own home with my family to homelessness, from being an allied health professional to a steel worker. My new career was to steal as much as I could to support my habit. I was bouncing from recovery house to shelter to recovery house. I was unable to put 2 weeks of sobriety together. Last year I moved 18 times. Each relapse led to a discharge, and again I was dragging my suitcases to the next temporary shelter. I would wake up in the night having no idea where I had laid my head. I became depressed, moody, felt helpless, and suicidal. Mood stabilizers didn't help. Treatment at King Haven gave me a break in the cycle. Their second stage facility was not yet completed. I returned to Surrey, my war zone, and soon I was using again and feeling more helpless than ever. I was convinced I would die as a direct result of my addiction. A God-inspired set of circumstances brought me to Chilliwack, where I knew no one. 5 months later, with a lot of help from a lot of people and institutions, I have a life worth living today. A family opened their home to me for 4 months. It was good at first, but soon it became unpleasant for them and for me also. It was time to move on. Attempting to live with 15 to 50, mostly men, for the last 3 years has taken a toll on me. I rarely fit in. I became antisocial and pushed everyone away. I just wanted to be left alone, but inside I had never felt so empty and lonely. I became uncaring and hard. I had no interest in things that used to bring me pleasure. For this addict, having no control over my environment around me was very new. I had no say in what I ate, who I shared a room with, when to awake, when to go to bed, what was on TV, what recovery meetings to attend. I was miserable and bitter. My life is so much different now. Independent living is amazing. I have been a resident here for 23 days. There have been a few bumps in the road, some emotional challenges, but when I start to go sideways, my counselor has been available within hours of my request. The resources here are incredible. The employment folks here have helped me receive funding to get my basic safety ticket. My continued volunteer hours have made me feel like a productive member of society again. I wake up and know where I am. I'm in my own bed, in my own room. Excuse me. I have food in my fridge. I eat nutritious meals of my own choosing. My day starts at 6 a.m. with devotion and quiet time, something that could not exist in a recovery home. By 7:30, I attend my first 12-step meeting of the day. I have found a strong recovery community in Chilliwack. They plugged me into a church that has many recovering people from all walks of life. Today I have a life. I have a purpose. The changes are incredible. In closing, I know how many obstacles there are in opening a facility like this. The not in my backyard issue alone can become insurmountable. People with addiction and mental health issues are not going to go away, but with the proper help we can get well. Thank you for helping improve my quality of life. My parents, thank you. And so does my little boy. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. This is the reason that we're here. This is the purpose. This is the plan. What more can I say after someone has shared his heart and tell you what's happened in his life? But he's not the only person. He's one of a number of other people here with similar stories. And their journey back is going faster and faster into success. You know, they usually say you fall faster. I actually see them rising faster. And so I want to congratulate you, Terry. You are the reason that the Contact Center was started, and it's for folks like you and all of you that are in the center that we come to work every day. And so I want to thank Terry. And so in closing, I would like to thank everybody for coming again. Please feel free to ask any of us any questions, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.